The building behind me is what we've hiked here to see. Look at the thickness of these walls. All right, so we are here at the border of Nevada and Utah. Headed into Nevada to show you a most interesting location. Come along and join the adventure. All right, we have just encountered the roughest road. A little bit of panic, actually. Got down in here. Hopefully we get back out. Huge rocks and ruts in the road. Way worse than last time we were here. I'm standing in front of this abandoned building in Delamar Ghost Town. This is a giant ghost town. I'm going to flip the screen around so you can see the amazing old building. The stovepipe that was up there. People have still made a few fires in here. Another place where off-roaders find a great place to come and have fun in the sun. Pretty nice today, about 80 degrees. Shocking, last time we were here was over 100. But an amazing old building right here in Delamar. Let's get into it. Last time we were here, we didn't see it, but there's a giant structure here we're going to share with you. Let's go. Up to this mine, and you can see the weeds moving. There's a full-on cold breeze coming out of this mine shaft. I mean, really cool.
Oh my gosh, I feel it. Really cool. Like air conditioning.
Really cold in here. Man, we've never been in here before. And it's really a large shaft. But that goes a long ways. Yeah, that goes on for a long ways. As you can see, none of this is supported. Just want to be cautious. Okay, so we're coming up on the first set of ruins. Now, these were all small houses, almost built like apartments here in Delamar. Now, Delamar is a ghost town, and it's located in Lincoln County in eastern Nevada. So gold was discovered here around 1889 by a prospector, John Ferguson, and Joseph Sharp in the Delamar Mountains. So it's kind of in the, I think they call it Monkey Wrench Wash area is what it's really called, or what it's named now. The mining camp was to start, and it was called Ferguson, and shortly afterwards, in 1893, Captain John Raphael Delamar bought up key claims and consolidated many of them and gave the town its name. And again, this is one of the areas where they had almost apartment buildings built. The houses were all just stacked right here. And you can see this is where they would be like separate little buildings, but kind of a rudimentary apartment building area, if you will. So right here you can see that the foundations, or the apartment style area, goes all the way up the hill. And each one of the walls that are left, you can see where there was like a little fireplace and they had stacks coming up. There's more of one building right here, and it's next to a old car that looks like it's from the 40s, maybe the 30s, right next to it. And what's crazy about it is all these years it's been in the sun, the chrome is still shining. Let's get closer to that and take a look. So for you classic car buffs out there, if you have any idea what that body style is, I think this is the hood laying on the ground right here. And then the chrome around the back window and the doors. And those aren't bed springs. but those are definitely seat springs in that car. And look at the bullet holes in that. So for sure, we know it's that type of a car. A bullet hole car. In the middle of the Nevada desert. So this building really only the only building that's in this area that's intact with actual wood. The rest of it either burnt or disappeared somehow. But this one actually has part of the wood roof that still exists. You could probably camp under that if you wanted to, but I wouldn't suggest it. So right in front of us, you'll see one of the major foundations and walls of one of the buildings. Not exactly sure what building this is, but it was very substantial. And you can see where it had multiple floors. Those lines in the walls indicate where the floor joists were. The boom period here was roughly 1895 to 1900. And during that time, there were over 3,000 people living here. The buildings sprang up, homes, many store structures, a hospital, opera house, churches, school, shops, and saloons all existed right here on what would be like the main street. So look what we found right here. Some more springs. Bed springs or car seat springs. These old springs just exist in ghost towns because the iron or the metal remains and all the other stuff just gets eaten away with time. Off to the left, you're gonna see what we were looking for. And why I'm out of breath, we've been walking uphill on shale for about a half a mile. But had to see this building. This is the largest structure left in Delamar.
Wow. I am shocked that they built this here. Up on the mountain.
It's a long ways away, for sure, from what the biggest part of town was, like where the saloons and dance halls were. It's significant. Look at the rock work, it's so smooth. Whew, I'm still winded from that hike. Still going uphill.
How'd they even get up here? How'd they do it?
The wagons, I guess. They had to bring water all the way from Caliente area, miles by pipe, to be able to mine in this area. So they literally piped the water in, believe it or not. All right, so it's kind of a makeshift walkway right here up to the building. Last time we were here, I can't believe we missed this structure. We didn't even, that's what we do. We go down the road, we find a ghost town, and we go to it. We don't even look it up before we go there. And so we thought it was just Delamar proper where we were. And we had no idea when we got back and started doing the video editing, we saw that there was this giant building. We're finally seeing it for the first time. And it still stands. Probably a beautiful building back in the day. You can definitely see it had a peak to the roof. And then down below, you can see where the floor would have been, but there was storage under the floors. Maybe they had a vault. Some of this is caved in, but that lower half makes me think maybe that's where the vault was. A lot of people have carved their names in the wall. At least there's no graffiti. It's just kind of scratched in the wall. It's nice not to see a bunch of bright paint and inappropriate pictures on the wall, because you can't film it and show that to everybody, that's for sure. So right here, there's a large piece of black metal. It looks like a giant funnel right in front of us. Right there. Still getting used to this camera. The screen's a little small on it. Once you figure it all out, it's good. But is that a hood or a funnel? Not sure. Off in the distance, there's all these foundations where it almost looks like there'd be some kind of a system here. A building, a giant building. You see these foundations. So that definitely was a structure that was holding something up. It came off this hill. There's a lot of tailing piles up there and foundations as well. Huge location. All this looks like it had a basement to it or whatever, a lot of walls, individual walls and supports. This had to be a big operation or a big part of town right here. And right over here, on this side of the road, very interesting building. The way the stones are set back, and there's a doorway. But right here, there's a big stone pit that goes down with a chipmunk running. Yeah, you can see that. So it's a big stone pit and all the foundations up there as well. A lot of stonework.
Oh, look up there.
Oh yeah. Way up there's a lot of tailing piles. There was a lot of mining. Things brought out of the earth right here. So this is built really stout. When you look at the walls, they're built at an angle. Look how strong those walls are. It's almost like a fortress. See how strong? Look at this. And built at an angle. So things would kind of run down at an angle or whatever, but why was it built so strong? Was this an area where they kept, a lot of people say these buildings, maybe, yeah, jail. Could have been. Well, maybe it was for blasting powder or something. I don't know. It's just the darndest things when you see these walls because these are finished inside as well. You can see the plaster.
Yeah, but look how thick.
Yeah, those are really thick. Always one of the things you look at is the history of these locations. A lot of the information about the buildings doesn't exist.
Here too. Comes down at an angle over here.
Yeah, the whole side of it is built at an angle. Look at that. So angled walls. If anybody knows what that would be or what that kind of construction out of the stone would be at an angle like that, let me know please, because difficult to find all that information out, and a lot of it's different unless you've actually been here or have history or family that lived here. Behind me, I don't know if you can see it, but down below all those foundations. Now the construction here is the same as most ghost towns that we've been to, like Silver Reef and all those. The difference is the type of stone that it's made out of. Some of these are made out of sandstone, some are made out of a much harder stone. I don't know what you call it. Looks like rock to me. There's more foundations and more buildings here in Delamar than I've seen combined with all the other ghost towns. There has to be 80 foundations here minimum, if not 100. 3,000 people living here. They put a lot of work into this town to just give it up. When you get to Delamar, if you ever get here, the top part of Delamar has more foundations and things to see than the bottom part. But when you come in here, you don't even know about the top of the part. So if you ever visit here, be sure you take the road up the hill. So when you get here, some buildings down below on the right that we're looking at straight ahead, you want to come up this, it would be straight ahead. I would say straight ahead, then you take a left up the hill. But you can't get a car unless you have like a Jeep or something, or a big truck. Side by side, something like that. And if you come up here, be sure you come all the way up to the top of the hill. More foundations in that giant building we saw. That's probably the best building we've seen in a while in a ghost town. And we're going to head down to these bigger foundations below, because one of those, I believe, was the Opera House, and the other one was like a hotel. So let's head on down. So this building here, you can see where it had the finished walls and where the floor would have been across the bottom where the straight line is. And right here, there were heavy metal doors. You can see the hinges on it here. So the iron right here, still heavy. The hinges up here, very heavy. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 hinges on there. So there were some big metal doors on this. Maybe this was the bank. Maybe these were the metal flanges for that. Again, I'll see if I can find a map and find out what these buildings were. So these buildings look like they were all built side by side. Looks like there was 3 different buildings here. The one with the heavy metal door frame. And then this one right next to it. Maybe this was a old West strip mall. And then this building right next to that. And then there's even another one. So there would have been 4 or so buildings built all together right here. You see the finished walls in the back of that one as well. Crazy. And I think one of these was the Opera House, not sure which one. Metal frame there from either a door or something. Fairly heavy. So many buildings and foundations to look at. You never know what you're going to see till you get up close to it. Some of them, 2-story, 3-story probably. A lot of the stuff is burnt, but a lot of it's still standing. This one looks a little weak, like it's bowing. I guess a good wind and a good rain could probably take it down, but nice to see a lot of it still standing here. What do you say? It's a feeling of a town where so many people lived. There's so much energy and effort went in here, and it's just gone. Everybody is gone. Some perished here, some moved on. But this is a massive place. If you come up here, plan on walking 2 to 3 miles, because to see everything, and you can see where the layout of the roads are. But we just went up and down the main street. We've been out through the desert before looking at every foundation, and it's just a lot of foundations. So we wanted to share with you just a bit of the history and the sacrifices and what was built here. And that was an assayer's office, not a bank, but that was the assayer's office, the giant building we looked at. Very impressive. And the most iconic building of Delamar Ghost Town. If you ever get the opportunity, I suggest you get here, but know before you go, you're not going to make it in with a regular car. And at least all-wheel drive and ground clearance, sport utility, at least. But a 2-wheel drive, anything, I don't think so. I don't think so. This had to be an area that was the processing plant. Huge timbers all over where the construction was built, multi-level. Massive building, a lot of tin, a lot of metal here. So I think a lot of the activity happened right here at this location. Would have liked to seen a picture of this when it was all put up, when it was all together. Can't imagine. I think it was a 20-mule team that had to haul all of this lumber and all this debris up these mountains to build this location. That's a huge effort and undertaking to have it all turned into a ghost town. A different angle of that whole area where they did all the work, like platforms where they dumped the ore, processing possibly, and all the sand that's off to the right. We drove up here a little ways to be able to get this picture or this angle of it. So we're literally crawling up this road. And one thing I'll tell you, don't ever bring a car to a truck fight or a 4-wheel drive fight. And that's what we've done. But this Subaru will rock crawl with the best of them getting up this road. Having to watch out to get high centered. Sometimes getting in and out of ghost towns is the most exciting part. Okay, we've made it to the Delamar Cemetery. Right behind me, you're going to see where a lot of the residents of Delamar were buried because not only disease, but the Delamar death dust, that silicon dust that used to get in their lungs, and many perished trying to make their wealth right here in Delamar. Let's explore the cemetery. Over here, there's some wrought iron. I love to see the wrought iron in the old cemeteries. It's a lot of character, and they last, seems like forever. And you'll see this one here, and it has a giant stone headstone on it. And yet another picture. So we found multiple pictures of what looks like Jesus on the headstones and entrance to the gate. It's so interesting to see how a lot of the headstones are put together And this one we were just looking at, almost looks like a headboard and a footboard to a bed, but I'm sure it was just two pieces the same. They're at different angles. They might have had to put these back up. But this one's framed out with what looks like a, a chain link, but black iron. You can see the iron around this one, very similar to the other. So maybe a lot of these plots were done by the same, group of people that did these plots, because the iron all looks the same on them. So interesting to see. This is a little bit more modern headstone, and it's Richard is that Condon, it looks like, and it's 1857 to 1907. Now I understand that there's a smaller cemetery out in the desert that we can't get to. It's quite a hike. But there was supposed to be a smaller, separate cemetery from this one, but this was the one that's right on the road, if you want to call it that, coming into Delamar. Looks like there's some angels over here under a giant cactus.
Joshua tree?
Joshua tree, yeah, not a cactus. Did I say cactus? Joshua tree, I should know better. I'm in the desert enough. You can see these were all the wood ones that were framed out like we were talking about. They build these frames out like the one that you see in the distance, like picket fence, and they fall down, and then they still frame the plot, the grave site. But they don't last that well in the weather. And they were probably a lot less expensive to put up back in the day. This one, they've put some pipe around it to hold it up. But you can see there was a fairly ornate piece of wood that they used to surround it like a picket fence. There's a couple over here left, but a lot of those are gone, just withered away in the sun. All right, so that's gonna do it for today from Delamar Ghost Town, and we're finishing the video right here at the cemetery. And until the next adventure, goodbye from Weekend Escapades. We'll see you in the next one.
Subscribe to Weekend Escapades for more great content. Yeehaw!